Hi and welcome to Women in Tech Week. Today I'm joined by Professor Sue Black OBE, who is a tech evangelist and a professor at Durham University. Sue is the founder of many different communities in the women in tech space, such as BCS Women, Tech Mums, and more recently, Tech Up Women. Sue has also just launched a new community to support women in tech, which I'm sure she'll be telling us a little bit more about. She has launched groundbreaking campaigns, forged an exceptional career in academia, and in my opinion, is one of the most legendary figures in the tech space. Sue, thank you for joining me.
Oh, wow. What an introduction, Vanessa. Thank you so much. Yeah, they were wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's
all right.
A pleasure to be here.
Lovely to have you with us. Right, we've got so much to talk about and so little time. So first of all, you've had an extraordinary journey from academia to public advocacy. What were the defining moments early in your career that set your path in computer science and tech for good?
Wow. Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I guess coming from a background where I had to leave home at 16, got married early, had kids, ended up in a refuge, and then kind of went to college like 26, 27, and then went to uni. And I think at that time I'd ended up a single parent, which is not what I'd expected. And I was just trying to make enough money basically to feed my kids. So that was kind of what I was doing in the beginning. And maths had been my best subject at school. So that's what I did at college. And then I thought technology, that's where all the money is, back then in like 1989. So that's why I went into tech, really. But I mean, I'm absolutely delighted that I did. And I've had a great career, as you were saying, now for, well, how long is that? Like 30 something years in technology. And I think because I've come from a background where I know what it's like to face multiple challenges, of all sorts, and managed to overcome them, I just feel like I wish I'd known that when I was younger. And I wish, if I'd had more support, I think, maybe it would have been a bit easier and not so difficult at times. So I think, setting up the projects that I have done, a lot of it has been about trying to reach people that haven't had the easiest life, that haven't had the, sort of the biggest breaks, that have maybe faced multiple barriers, and really helping them, particularly women, particularly from underserved communities, to have a great career in tech, because, there are so many jobs out there, and, tech's well paid, and it's interesting, and also it's your kind of opportunity to change the world. So for me, that kind of ticks all my boxes, I suppose. And also at the same time, by running the programs that I have, it means that we get more women, more people from diverse and underserved communities into technology, which is really important as well. Because if we want products and services that are fit for purpose for the global marketplace, we need all sorts of people in there, diverse teams creating that software, creating those products and services.
Yeah, absolutely. You've always struck me as somebody that wants to leave the world in a better position by which you found it. And you've worked tirelessly to kind of set up these communities, but it's not just communities, is it? You led an incredible campaign to save Bletchley Park, and there is a book that talks about that as well. Tell us a little bit about it, first of all, but what did that experience teach you about mobilizing big communities and perhaps having one person that tipped the balance for you? Tell me a little bit about that story.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I went up to Bletchley Park the first time, I think it was 2003, and I set up the BCS Women Network in the first one in 1998. So I was up there sort of representing BCS women. I didn't know much about Bletchley Park. Ended up chatting to some guys there that were rebuilding Alan Turing's bomb machine, which I didn't know anything about at the time.
Yeah.
They told me about it, but they also told me that more than 8,000 women worked at Bletchley Park, and I had absolutely no idea about that at all. So I found that amazing, went away that time and got some funding to run an oral history campaign to capture the memories of the women that worked at Bletchley Park. And then at the launch of that, found out that Bletchley Park might have to close, which I thought was terrible, because I'd been to a reception there where I'd done a tour of the site with one of the veterans, and he'd said that the work that was done there was said to have shortened World War II by 2 years, and at that time 11 million people a year were dying. So potentially it saved 22 million lives, the work done there. And like the majority of the people working there were women. And I just thought, I've got to do something about this. So started a campaign, didn't really know what I was doing. I'd gone from being like doing a PhD in computing to then becoming a lecturer. And by now, this was like 2008, I was head of department. So I emailed all the heads and professors of computing in the country and said, we've got to save Bletchley Park. Luckily, they agreed. We wrote a letter to the Times. I managed to get on BBC News. So that was kind of like the first couple of weeks of the campaign. And then I didn't know what to do after that. And it wasn't till about 6 months after that, towards the end of 2008, I sort of discovered Twitter and realised, oh, actually, there's loads of people out there I can connect with who might be interested in Bletchley Park. So I set up a blog about the campaign and put that in my Twitter profile. And then various people approached me, and I was like searching every day for people that might be interested in Bletchley Park, and got various people involved. But yeah, like a real tipping point was getting Stephen Fry involved. So I saw a selfie that Stephen Fry posted on Twitter one night in February 2009, saying that he was stuck in a lift in Centre Point in London, like a big block with a bar at the top, and they couldn't get out. And so I thought, oh, Stephen Fry, I know he loves history, I know he loves technology, maybe he'll be interested in helping Bletchley Park. So luckily he was following me on Twitter, so I sent him several direct messages. And amazingly, the next day he tweeted a link to my blog, and I'd been getting about 50 hits a day, which I thought was amazing at the time. But then that day I got 8,000 hits. And that might not sound like much now, but back then that really was a lot.
Well, in fact, big numbers.
I became the most retweeted person in the world on Twitter on that day. Which was just incredible. And yeah, so that was a real tipping point in the campaign. And it really helped me to learn that if you can find key influential people that care about the same things that you do, they can reach audiences that you just can't reach and have a massive impact, like really quickly.
Do you know what? I remember that campaign. And then you wrote the book about it, didn't you? You
wrote
a book called Saving Bletchley Park.
Yeah, because so many people ask me, well, what did you do? It was a really early use of social media for good. At that time, everyone was saying, oh, I don't care what you had for breakfast, because people were posting their food pictures on Twitter. But, ran a national, sort of international campaign really using Twitter. And we couldn't have done it before that because there was no way to reach those people before Twitter. I'm not a massive fan of it now, obviously, because it's changed such a lot. But back then it was just groundbreaking, like really incredible. So I wrote a book, Saving Bletchley Park, with my friend Steve Colgan, who's one of the QI elves. So I wrote the whole story of social media, what we did, what worked, what didn't, all the people that got involved, some of the code breakers, I became friends with. And Steve wrote chapters, which we sort of interspersed my chapters with his. And he wrote like the history of Bletchley Park and what the women did at Bletchley Park and the Enigma machine and that kind of stuff. Yeah, and so it was, when it was published, it was number one in its category on Amazon. But that was it was 10 years ago. This month.
I think we did a launch, didn't we, with WeAreTechWomen at BCS for the book.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
So look, let's talk about communities. I mentioned earlier on in the intro that you founded so many. Where do I kind of begin? So Tech Mums, I say pioneer. I think my inspiration as a woman in tech being BCS Women and subsequently Tech Up Women, which are all designed to open up doors for various women in tech.
Yeah.
When you put these kind of programs together, how did you scale them, and perhaps what would you do differently today?
Oh, wow. Well, that's a good question. I suppose I do what I know how to do at the time, really, to be honest. And I think I started BCS Women back in 1998 because I was going to academic computer science conferences and trying to network. My PhD supervisor had told me, you've got to network at conferences. And I was really shy. So that was like the last thing I ever wanted to do. But I thought, okay, I've got to network. So the first conference I went to, there was a guy, I think was one of the keynotes, who gave a great talk. He was really funny. He seemed down to earth. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go and talk to him in the break. So I talked to him in the break. That was all fine about my research. We had a good chat. But then for the rest of the conference, every time I turned around, he was staring at me and I got really, really freaked out. I was a lot younger back then. Now I probably wouldn't even notice, to be honest. But, because I was very sort of hyper aware and scared basically at the conference. So I got very freaked out by that. And I had another sort of couple of incidents where, I tried to chat to some people at a conference and they just ignored me. And then after about 30 seconds, I just walked off, went and sat in the loo and started crying. Because I just thought, why am I so rubbish at networking? Like, what is it that I need to do? And then I went to a Women in Science conference in '98 in Brussels, and I walked in thinking, oh God, I'm terrible at this kind of stuff, but I've just got to do it. And I just had the time of my life at this Women in Science conference. I just met all these amazing women, some of whom I'm still friends with today. And, it's like nearly 30 years ago. And it was just incredible. And I thought, oh, so conferences can be like this. Networking can be like this. I just had absolutely no clue about that at all. And so, I came back and I thought, I've got to set up a network for women in tech or women in computing in the UK, an online network, so that we can all connect up with each other. And then if we're going to conferences, we can tell each other we're going, and then up at the conference, we've got someone to chat to. And I think I hadn't really thought about the fact that I was a woman in computer science. So like the previous conferences where I'd not had a good time, I mean, sometimes it was fine, but sometimes it was terrible. And I hadn't quite picked up on the fact that it was about 10% women in those conferences, about 90% guys. And being sort of academic computer science, it was kind of nerdy. And, I'm a nerd, so that's fine. But it just wasn't conducive to chatting to lots of people as a sort of young woman in computer science. Whereas a Women in STEM conference was amazing. Like everyone was just chatting to everyone and having an amazing time. So that's when I set up BCS Women. And that, I don't know what I would have done differently. Really, it's a bit hard to say, I suppose. So with that, with Tech Mums, so I set that up in 2012, and there I was really trying to reach mums, I suppose, who were like me, like living on a council estate in Brixton when I was in my 20s, and just trying to make my way in the world, earn enough money to, like pay for my kids' shoes and pay the rent and stuff like that. And I just thought tech had given me a great career even by then. And I thought there's just so many opportunities out there. If you just understand some really basic things about technology, and so many people are so scared of it, they just don't interact with it at all. Yeah. So I put that program together and started running it in a school in East London near Watney Market, and just had great success right from the beginning. My whole idea was to build confidence with technology. But what actually happened was that the mums' confidence in general just absolutely skyrocketed. They were like different mums coming out the end of the program, and it was only 2 hours a week for 6 weeks. So it wasn't a massive, long, in-depth program. But I just tried really hard to build confidence with technology. Like just how to do Google searches. I mean, that's a bit old school now. These days it's more about
ChatGPT,
and like prompt engineering and stuff. But it was kind of the thing of the day. And, a bit of basic app design, helping mums to realise they could actually design apps. They could do a bit of website design, a bit of coding, different social media platforms. How do they work? Just a kind of like quick run through of all these things, and just getting people familiar with everything made a massive difference. So that was really cool. And then some of our tech mums went on to do Tech Up Women, the program that we run at Durham. And so I joined Durham 7 years ago, and there was this call for people to apply for funding to run tech programs or boot camps. And I just came up with this idea, again, focused on women from underserved communities. If, thinking we need more diversity in our tech teams, like I was saying earlier. And also, I've spoken to so many CEOs and CTOs who want to employ more women into their companies, but say they can't find the technical women, or if they do, like they don't get through the interview process, or just lots of excuses. So I thought, well, maybe we can solve both those problems at the same time if we put together training programs which train women from underserved communities directly into the skill shortage areas that are in those companies. Then we're ticking everyone's boxes, and we're changing those women's lives as well. And so we've been running that for like 6.5 years at Durham. We've had about 600 women through the program. You came to our alumni celebration a couple of weeks ago in Durham, which was amazing.
Love that.
And we're just doing all the sort of evaluation stuff now. And we know that on average, the women that have gone through the program and gone into a job have had an uplift in salary of the average amount is, I think, £6,000 a year. And some as much, I just read a case study that someone sent in last week, which was one of our Tech Up Women learners was on, I think, 20,000 a year. And now she's on 49,000 a year after coming on the program. That's about 18 months.
Life-changing, isn't it?
Yeah. So we know, and absolutely, loads of the women say it's absolutely changed their life. So now my focus is to run Tech Up Women across the country. So that's my aim at the moment. But also I was approached by the Bangladesh High Commission. I went in to see them last week because they want to run Tech Up Women in Bangladesh. So I've got all sorts of irons in the fire as usual.
But it was it's such an impactful program. I mean, I've seen it firsthand and spoken to some of the ladies that were on the program, and it's just absolutely giving them that confidence, the skill set, the network, just everything that they need to push themselves forward. So it's amazing, Sue. So let's talk about kind of the wider tech ecosystem.
Yeah.
So you have a great vantage point that spans kind of academia, industry, and government as well. What do you think the biggest single blocker that's still holding back women and returners in terms of kind of, continuing to thrive in tech? What's if you could give me one practical intervention that the government could do that you think would kind of clear off that funnel, what would it be?
Well, that's a hard one. I think creating clear pathways and like programs, kind of like Tech Up Women, but basically run it large scale across the country for everyone that wants to do it. Collaborating, like get industry together, working together to work out where those skill shortages are, where they need people, and then a government funded program to help find women that want to work in tech and just create a pathway for them to get there. Because the thing is, it's like we know how to do all of these things. It's just getting everything joined up, really.
Yeah.
And I think, one of the issues is that, kind of like structurally our society doesn't encourage women into tech. So it's a bit hard for me to say the one thing, because I think it's sort of a multifaceted issue.
It starts with education, though, really, doesn't it? What we're teaching kids in schools that kind of whet their appetite.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and also, our society is kind of like vaguely misogynist. And I don't think I think a lot of people think it's kind of men against women. I don't think it's that at all. I think the way our society is structured just discourages women from achieving their potential. And we've got this whole thing, my generation, but also talking to younger women, like, you don't feel comfortable telling people even what you have done yourself, because you worry that you're showing off or something. Whereas I asked someone a while ago, how do I know if I'm showing off or not? And they just said, well, if you did it, you're not showing off. You're just telling someone what you did. And I thought, that's very simple, but very powerful, because I always kind of had this worry that I was showing off about stuff, when really I'm just trying to make that change happen. Like you said, I kind of feel like I'm getting closer and closer to the end of my career, and I'm feeling more and more frustrated that, I just need to I know so much now, like you do as well. I just want to make that impact. And like, you're doing incredible stuff with WeAreTechWomen, like in the report, that you, is it report? Yeah. So, we're both trying really, really hard to make a difference. And I think bringing people together and making sure that the government's behind it, in encouraging women into tech, but also kind of changing the narrative around it, because I think it's still something that is not really seen as the normal route for women, unfortunately. We need to get away from that, and we need to help people in general realize that tech is a great career, and that women have got just as much right to be in there as men. And in fact, like, it's just like Steve Shirley, who died recently, just what an amazing woman, tech pioneer, who set up this organization. When she faced so many barriers, she had to leave work in the 60s because I can't remember if it's because she got married or she had a baby. She had to leave work, so she just went for it and set up her own consultancy. Ended up employing more than 300 women, and I think she sold the company in 1975 because she had to start employing men because of the Sex Discrimination Act.
And she made all of her employees millionaires, didn't she?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and that's another thing we see again and again, actually, is that, like when we see Melinda Gates and I've forgotten Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, when they become really wealthy, loads of women give back to society to try and help make things better, whereas guys do tend to, I don't know, buy flashy planes or boats or whatever, do lots of crazy things. So we need to help from that perspective. We need to help more women become successful and earn more money so that they can help society in that way as well.
Absolutely. It's two things you mentioned there. Obviously, the Lovelace report. I've got a copy here because we
Right.
do have an issue, right, with women are leaving in tech in their
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
We've got women either thinking about moving jobs or dotting around the tech industry because they're not being developed, or leaving the tech industry altogether. And there's loads on the Lovelace report in other interviews. You mentioned Dame Stephanie Shirley. We actually have another interview with the wonderful Lynn Hart, a
Oh,
tribute
right.
to her across Women in Tech Week. So people can
Oh, I
go and watch
adore that.
that and
Yeah,
find
Lynn's
out
so
all
good.
about her life story.
Great.
So look,
That's really good.
let's finish on AI, right? Obviously, the big buzzword of definitely over the last couple of years. We
Yeah.
know that it's changing the talent equation.
Yeah.
Where do you see the most immediate, realistic opportunities for women and career changers to kind of step into this AI-enabled roles or careers? And what skills do you think they should prioritise over the next six to 12 months?
Yeah, so I think the biggest opportunities are sort of at the intersection of something you already know about, so whether it's finance or marketing or whatever, and AI. So,
Yeah,
find out what sort of tools and products people are using to use AI to enhance what you can do in marketing, what you can do in finance. And
great
I think
advice.
at that intersection that there's going to be new jobs created and expertise, because lots of people won't do that. And basically the people that kind of like don't basically get on the bandwagon are going to get left behind.
Yeah.
And it might not be in like this year or next year, but like 5-10 years time, I think everyone's going to have to be up to date with AI in some respect, or they're just going to lose their jobs, unfortunately.
Yeah. There was an article actually in a couple of the press papers today that was saying, AI adoption is slow and it's not going to take everyone's job. It's just going to enhance what we can do within our jobs, but it will take away the laborious tasks and things like that. I even know using ChatGPT, which is my absolute best friend.
Yeah,
My productivity has probably gone up a good 40-50%
yeah,
just
yeah.
not procrastinating about writing things or
Yeah,
getting ideas, especially when you're a solo rider. Although I've got a team around me,
yeah,
sometimes you sit there. So, I'm a big advocate for it. But again, that's a productivity tool. I'm not
yeah,
seeing what it's actually doing to the business. So great advice there, that intersection between what it is that you know and what you do in your profession and your industry, and what AI will look like within that industry.
yeah,
Fantastic.
absolutely.
So,
Can I just mention
finally,
our Women in Tech Power Network?
I'm coming to that. It's the
Oh,
next
okay.
question. So
Excellent.
here we go. So obviously we've got another new community that you've
Yeah,
been setting up again to help women in tech. So
yeah.
tell me about your power network.
Yeah, so over the summer, like for some time I've been thinking I just need to make more of an impact. I've done all of these things,
Yeah,
but I'm not having enough impact. And like I said, I'm in my 60s now. I'm not going to work forever. I'm not going to be alive forever. I just need to make stuff happen. And so it kind of came to me, the idea of, well, I've got to set up another community, but one where I can really, really help women to the same sort of thing as before, really, like support and network with each other. But I think there's more kind of like tech platforms that now really enable us to be able to kind of like fast track lots of things.
yeah,
So I've set it up on this platform called School, which enables you to have a classroom, to do video chats, to have a community, which is a bit like kind of, I suppose, Twitter back in the day, I don't know, LinkedIn, Facebook kind of thing, where you can chat to each other. But it's got loads of different facilities in there which enable you to be able to, for it to be sort of an all singing, all dancing community, I suppose. So we have a weekly chat with an amazing woman entrepreneur or researcher. So we've had Sarah Wire, like an AI ethics expert, talking about bias in AI. We've had Sarah Porter, who sold her company, her AI community company, Inspired Minds, for don't know how many millions recently, which has not been in the news. I don't understand, like it seems like sometimes the things in the news are trivial, and yet someone, particularly a woman, selling a company for multi-million pounds, which is an AI company, it's not even in the news. I don't understand why. But like an amazing entrepreneur, and we get these amazing women in who have faced multiple barriers, and they tell us kind of warts and all the story of how they managed to do what they've done, you know, and just many different challenges. Lucy Batley came to speak to us recently, a great entrepreneur from Newcastle. So we have women coming in to chat to us every week. We have meetups online. We have things like a 5-day AI challenge, helping everyone to get comfortable and used to using AI in their career. We're setting up buddy pairs at the moment, so pairing everyone up together. And we're going to have coaching in the group. I've also got free licenses from Google for their AI training their AI courses. So I negotiated free access to that for my members. So the whole aim is to really, really fast track everyone by connecting with each other, giving these amazing, inspiring stories, giving them all the tools that they need to be able to succeed in their career. That's the aim.
Brilliant. Where can they find out more information if anyone's interested in that?
So from my LinkedIn, I think if you Google School and Women in Tech Power Network, you should get it.
There you go. It's come up on the screen. Amazing.
Thank you.
Just as if by magic. Right, so for the women in tech that are watching this, probably in awe of everything that you've created, I want you to leave them with one piece of life advice. You know, or could be career advice, but what's your parting shot to inspire these women?
Why do you keep asking me for one thing? That's too hard. I would say trust your gut instincts. That's one thing that when I've not done that, I've made the wrong decision. So trust your gut instincts, but also surround yourself with people that support you, because that makes such a massive difference.
Absolutely.
Keep going. There's 3 things. Sorry.
Okay. We better start off for there be 4 and 5.
No, that's it. 3.
So it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for all your support for WeAreTechWomen, and obviously for Women in Tech Week as well. It has been an absolute joy. I'm sure you've all enjoyed watching it. Do look up Sue on LinkedIn, her various different initiatives. Books still around, Saving Bletchley Park, still out there if you want to read that. But yeah, watch this space. I think it's very clear that Professor Sue Black OBE is not done.
No, not at all.
Thanks, Sue. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks very much, Vanessa. Take care.
Thank you.